Here is a box. You cannot tick it, flick it, or lick it. It is not that kind of box. You cannot get sick in it, toss a stick in it, or put your dick in it. It is not that kind of box. You cannot tickle it, pickle it, or be fickle with it. It is not that kind of box. It is not the kind of box to sleep in, weep in, or reap what you sow in. This is the kind of box that is good for turning one thing into another. It's the kind of box to go deep in. Someone once told me I had a small box, too small for any man to fit, which made me think of grapes, little boxes growing in clusters, each cluster dangling like a tit off the vine, each cluster going sour for being beyond a fox's reach. Sometimes I wonder if he lulls himself to sleep thinking only death will succeed, for going sour already puts me within reach. But death is not about going sour. It just turns one thing into another. Death makes it possible to pour wine from a box. La Petite Mort makes it taste good. Here is a box. You cannot pluck it, suck it, or spelunk it. It is not that kind of box. You cannot draw a map on it, put your stamp on it, or tap that ass with it. It is not that kind of box. You cannot sink it, drink it, or be surrounded by the pink of it. It is not that kind of box. It is not the kind of box to be a hound in, make a sound in, or lay around in. This is the kind of box that is good for turning one thing into another. It is the kind of box to go down in. Someone once told me I had a sexual view of love, too sexual for it to be love at all. But a box is full of room, and a room can be full of box, provided there is at least one woman standing in it. And sometimes all it takes is one. I used to have a necklace, and I would run it down the length of my body just so I could watch it slide over my hips, because it was one way to measure the full weight of love. The other way takes up much less space. The shenanigans of intimacy boil down to what passes between two people when their mouths are open and desire hangs like a dog's tongue. Here, love is the pits of two cherries so long as you can get through the flesh. For all the times that I cannot, I wish I had that necklace, but that necklace has been lost. And death is not about loss. It just turns one thing into another. Death gnaws at the flesh to find love in the pits. But it is La Petite Mort that makes love bearable. Here is a box. You cannot fling it, sting it, or put a ring on it. It is not that kind of box. You cannot bag it, tag it, or put a fag out on it. It is not that kind of box. You cannot be a god in it, put your rod in it, or stuff a cod in it. It is not that kind of box. It is not the kind of box to be rough in, crave a muffin, or do as the doctor says and turn and cough in. This is the kind of box that is good for turning one thing into another. It is the kind of box to go off in. Cemeteries are full of boxes, turning one thing into another. Cemeteries are like wombs this way. The body comes raging out of a box. This is how the body starts. The end result of juice and flesh turning one thing into another, all the rage of two raging lovers who cannot smell their own slow decay. Because that is how it is from the moment we start. From the moment we start, decay does not rage in the same way. But death is not about decay. It just turns one thing into another. Death puts us into one kind of box, but it is La Petite Mort that pulls us out of our mothers. Here is a box. Somewhere there is another kind of box, and it is having more fun than this box. Whatever gnaws at us from the moment we start, this is the kind of box that knows the bones are for the dogs. So go on and lay yourself down. This is the kind of box to snog in, jam your log in, and be a dog in.